Morning everybody, how are y'all doing today? I'm doing great because I'm finally done with school. I finally got back home last night, or I guess 2 nights ago at the time of this going live. And the Xbox fanboys are still out in full force damage controlling Redfall. And who would have guessed one of the most infamous flip-floppers in the entire industry, CrapGamer, would have been one of them. And let me tell you guys, this dude is mad upset about the Redfall reception. And I'm just gonna say this before we even start, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing. Ever since I started talking negatively about Xbox, I've been losing a decent amount of subs. I guess this whole Redfall controversy really is exposing the fanboys in my audience. Look guys, it's not my fault the game is trash. I'm gonna tell you the truth, whether it hurts or not. But yeah, anyway, enough sub begging. Less than a minute into the video. Man, I'm becoming more like Crap and Dreamcast guy with each passing day. But yeah, whatever. Let's go ahead and get right into this.
You know, it's funny. I'm a little bit disappointed with some of the reactions around Redfall. Now, as far as I could tell, there's this subsect of gamers that just salivate at the idea of an Xbox game not scoring well.
Yes, Crap, they're called fanboys, and you used to be one of them. Well, I mean, you still are a fanboy, but the ones you're talking about are PlayStation fanboys, and you used to be one of those. And look, it's fun to make fun of fanboys and all. Obviously, that's my whole thing that I do. But I never get actually salty or upset about how fanboys feel or anything. By the end of this video, you're gonna end up sounding like you're about to cry. And I really don't get it. Like, why are you so upset about the backlash that this game is getting? If you are enjoying the game and you like it, then that's all that matters. The trillion-dollar company does not need you to defend them.
Now, an interesting thing about that whole situation is they've had the long wait. About 3 years? Microsoft's first party hadn't really missed in, I would say, 3 years' time. Believe it or not, I would say that the lowest one that they had was recently for the Minecraft Legends, which I'd say that was about an average score. I think anything in the 7s, 70s.
My guy, just because a game gets good reviews doesn't mean it's a good game. Redfall got mid reviews from critics, but it was an awful game. Halo Infinite does not deserve the reviews it got. It got good reviews initially because the campaign was good, and you know, they launched the multiplayer a month early, so people were happy about that. And then the game took a nosedive off a cliff because they barely updated it at all, and we were missing features for years. I mean, I do agree that, you know, PlayStation fanboys, they always ignore the scores of Xbox games until they're bad and then they parade them around. But Crap, want to know one of the reasons why they had to wait so long besides, you know, a lot of the games getting good scores? It was because in 2022, Microsoft literally didn't release a single thing. That's part of the reason they had to wait so long. If Redfall came out last year, they would not have had to wait so long to dunk on the game.
Is an average score. You know, 80s is really, really good. 90s, obviously, great. So when we look at this and we go, what's the deal with this? Why is there so many people out there just waiting for Microsoft to fail? And here's the interesting, even more interesting part. I've got so much to say about this that it's all coming out at one time.
Again, they're called fanboys, and they're not this massive group like you're making them out to be. You're saying, oh, there's so many people. No, dude, fanboys are not a very large group of people. They certainly exist, but they're not huge. The vast majority of people on PlayStation are just normal players. But here's the thing I want to ask. So you're saying they're waiting for Microsoft to fail, right? But I have to ask, what's the problem with them calling out Microsoft when they do fail? Obviously, there's going to be the people who dunk on anything good Microsoft does as well, and they'll try to point out like little things like, oh, the grass doesn't move with the wind or something like that, just to make the game seem like it's not as good as it actually is. But when Microsoft legitimately does fail like they did with Redfall, what's the problem with people calling them out for that? Even if they are the kind of person who's waiting for Microsoft to fail so they can call it out, it's still right for them to call it out when it happens. Like, your logic just does not make any sense.
So when it comes to Redfall, right? You have early reviews that some of them leaked out, some of them weren't great. Some people are just jumping on it. Of course, the typical no-lifers, they jump on it and try to throw it back in your face. Oh, look, it's another bad game. The same exact people that were hyping up for Spoken, for PlayStation 5, right? These are the same people that were doing that and saying that review scores don't matter. Now, all of a sudden, the review scores matter, and this is all Microsoft's fault. They don't know how to handle their businesses, they can't run studios, they can't do this, they can't do that.
I mean, crap, are you really gonna sit here and call other people no-lifers? Come on, man. You gotta have some self-awareness when you're doing content creation, which is why I am a proud no-lifer. But crap, it's not just the people who are hyping up Forspoken that are dunking on Redfall. Pretty much anybody with common sense and a half-decent taste in games is dunking on Redfall. The game is an unfinished mess. It is not just the people who are hyping up Forspoken that are dunking on this game, because if that was the case, the game would have way better reviews than what it does. But that's simply not the case.
Interesting fact though, Hi-Fi Rush released earlier in the year and people said Microsoft gets none of that credit because that game was already in development before Microsoft bought them. So I'm confused. They're both Bethesda games, and same with Starfield. I have a feeling that game's going to score extremely well, and people are going to say Microsoft had nothing to do with it because it was in development before they bought them. But apparently, any Redfall issues are 100% Microsoft's fault, nobody else's fault but Microsoft, and they can't manage a studio to save their life. This is basically the catch-22 that Microsoft finds themselves in, and I think it's utterly ridiculous.
Again, yes, there are PlayStation fanboys out there who will do this. Like, oh, if an Xbox game is good, that doesn't count. But if it's bad, that absolutely counts. I do agree with that. But how it really should go is Microsoft is responsible for everything as soon as they buy them. Hi-Fi Rush was an epic win for Microsoft, and Redfall was a major L for Microsoft. But the problem with you, Crap, is you can't accept that Microsoft messed up. You have the exact opposite mentality that the PlayStation fanboys do, where if Microsoft messes up, that's not their fault, but if they drop a banger, then that's on them. You're no better than they are. It's just you're on the other side of the fence.
Ridiculous. Now, my passion for this wavered here and there. It just wasn't fun for me to sit there and do videos when people are just being so ignorant. You know what I mean? But it's again, that thing that got me into doing this in the first place was everybody just hating on Xbox, and I didn't understand it, right? If video games are all about the games, then why wouldn't you want to go with an Xbox One? They literally pooed all over the PlayStation 4 for the first year and a plus, few years of especially that first year.
Because hear me out, the games are extremely important, but they're not the only thing that matters. I mean, I think Nintendo has shown better than anybody that games are definitely the most important thing. There's no doubting that. But the Xbox One proves that the games aren't everything, and if the hardware truly is awful enough, then people won't buy it. The Xbox One was horribly overpriced, and you could not turn the console on without having a spy cam plugged into it. Yes, the games a console has are incredibly important, which is why Jim Ryan was fighting so hard to not lose Call of Duty. But at the same time, if you make an awful console, then people aren't gonna buy it. Or at least it's gonna sell like crap compared to your competition. But can I just ask, why are we even talking about the Xbox One? What does this have to do with Redfall's bad reviews and media bias against Xbox? I mean, that's what you put in the title of your video, but what does this have to do with that whatsoever?
Right? Maybe you loved Resogun and Knack, but geez, Microsoft was offering great stuff with Titanfall, with Sunset Overdrive, with Forza Horizon 2, with Dead Rising 3. These were solid games that they were putting out, and they were getting crapped on, right? Last I checked, video games were about the games themselves.
Yes, but Microsoft wasn't getting crapped on for the games. They were getting crapped on because they were charging $500 for a console that was less powerful than the competition's, was always online, you could not be offline at all, and you had to have a spy cam plugged in or else it wouldn't turn on. Again, the games themselves are obviously important, but so is the hardware you're playing them on. If the Switch was always online and costed $500, do you think it would sell anywhere near as well as it did right now? My guess is going to be probably not. But on top of that, let's just say games were the only thing that mattered and the hardware didn't matter whatsoever. This is not the best argument to be using for this video because Redfall is not a good game. The amount of games you put out doesn't matter if the games aren't good. Sure, Xbox has, 5 major first-party games this year? Those being Forza, Starfield, Redfall, Hi-Fi, and Minecraft Legends. But if all of them suck except for Hi-Fi, people aren't going to praise Microsoft for putting out all those games. games. They're gonna say, hey, these games suck, they should have been delayed or something.
Microsoft having more first-party content this year than Sony, that's not an imaginary thing. It's a real thing. Microsoft has better lineup from the first party this year. No matter what anybody else says, that's a factual thing. Sony admitted one game, one big game from the first party within the fiscal year. That's all.
Yes, Microsoft has more first-party games than Sony coming out this year. But if all of them are trash except for Hi-Fi, then that doesn't look good for them. It doesn't matter how many games you put out if the games suck. So far, 3 of the 5 major games have come out. Hi-Fi was great, Minecraft Legends was mid from what I heard, and Redfall was absolute garbage. In fact, as I'm recording this video, I just actually found out that Redfall is now the 14th worst reviewed game on all of Steam. That is truly an accomplishment and not a good one. But yeah, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if Microsoft releases 1 game in a year or 10 games in a year. What matters is how good the games actually are. If every single game Microsoft released this year was trash, and then Sony dropped Spider-Man 2 only, but it was an absolute masterpiece, of course people are gonna praise Sony and dunk on Xbox. If the games aren't good, then what's the point?
It's going to be Spider-Man 2. When is that going to release? I don't really know. I don't think anybody knows. But at the same time, I'm sitting here looking at this and seeing all the people trying to hate on this and going, oh, well, it's janky and there's this and the poor performance. And then I look over and I see this new Jedi game, which ran like crap on PC, ran like crap on Xbox, ran like crap on PlayStation 5, yet sits at an 87 Metacritic score. And nobody brought up any performance issues.
Okay, dude, you're actually just straight up lying now. Jedi Survivor has been review bombed on Steam and Metacritic for having such god-awful performance. But guess what? The reason it has such a high score from the critics is because the game under that is actually really good. However, even if you got rid of Redfall's technical issues, the game underneath is still mid as hell. It's probably like a 5 or a 6 at best out of 10. While I do enjoy the gunplay, it's incredibly static. The open world is extremely dead. The game is stupidly easy. The loot is not very exciting. And the AI is so stupid that I think I got dumber just by playing the game. Jedi Survivor is a good, arguably a great game underneath all the technical issues. Redfall under the issues is mid at best. But please tell me more about how everybody ignored Jedi Survivor's technical issues when it got review bombed for that exact reason.
So I'm not even 100% sure what this thing's going to end up scoring. A good guess would be probably somewhere in the 70s. But with that being said, if they're going to knock them for performance issues, then why are none of these other games getting knocked for performance issues?
Wrong! I don't know how you can be so disingenuous in a single video. Again, Jedi Survivor got review bombed for its performance. I mean, dude, I would love to give you the benefit of the doubt and say, oh, well, you probably didn't know or whatever. But no, you are terminally online. You definitely knew that Jedi Survivor was getting review bombed. You definitely knew people were hating on it for the performance issues. And yet you're gonna sit here and pretend that it only happens to Xbox. Man, Saltiest Gaming, you better watch out. This guy is coming for your crown of being disingenuous.
Are some of you familiar with Star Trek? Like, I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan, but I know what the Kobayashi Maru is. It's basically a training simulation that they put, the students through, and it's a lose-lose situation or a no-win situation, and they want to see how people react to it. Well, of course, in lore, Captain Kirk, before he was Captain Kirk, rigged it so that he could win because he doesn't believe in no-win situations. But Microsoft is literally in no-win situations. What can they do? What are they able to do about this? What can they do? If they release a game and it's good, they get told they had nothing to do with it. If they release a game and it's bad, they get crapped on and said they don't know how to run a studio and it's all their fault. So literally, I'm waiting for that one PlayStation fan to kind of just rap with me here. Like, what's the deal? What is going on with this?
Again, those people are called fanboys. If you are getting this hung up and butthurt over what they think, then you arguably have a bigger problem than they do. Like, I like to refute the arguments of fanboys and explain why they're dumb and wrong, but I don't get butthurt over their arguments or get really hung up on it. Like, I don't get why you're acting so butthurt over this situation. The game is bad. If you like it, then cool, but don't defend it. Oh, guys, please leave the poor $1 company alone. They can't win. Everybody needs to stop being mean to them. Like, Jesus Christ, dude, people don't like the game. Get over it.
Right, and then I get it. Like, I don't know, like I said, I don't know what this game's going to score. I'm excited for the game. I think review scores do matter. I think they absolutely do. But I think people are going to play what they want to play. If they're excited for it, then they should play it. And the fact that Microsoft has, games coming out this year and Sony doesn't, I can see why a lot of their fans are sort of, I guess I want to say, up in arms over this stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's just one of those things that kind of happens. And, Microsoft has really tried hard lately to make things right. And so the fact that everybody still wants to constantly just take a big crap on them time and time again, really just, I guess it kind of pisses me off.
But why? Why do you care? They're a $1 trillion company. They don't care about you. Why do you care about them? Why do you feel this need to make this video defending them? Saying that, oh, there's media bias. Everybody's being so unfair to Xbox. Crap, are you secretly Phil Spencer in disguise? Do you have like a voice filter on or something? Or is Microsoft cutting you a paycheck or something? Because with how hard you're defending them, I wouldn't be surprised. Also, how has Microsoft tried to make things right by releasing a $70 unfinished game and then apologizing for it after, even though this happens like yearly where Phil is constantly apologizing, saying, oh, well, we made a mistake. Oopsie poopsie, we accidentally pushed out a $70 game that's completely unfinished. Our bad, guys. We'll do better next time. When Xbox does something right, we praise them for it, and if they mess up, we call them out on it. You just can't handle when people call them out, because apparently, because a few PlayStation fanboys will never give Microsoft the credit they deserve, that means all of the media is biased against Xbox, and you have to be the white knight who comes out and defends them.
And it's just like, this is just video games, I get it, but why does it seem like the whole deck is stacked against Xbox? Like, what do people really want, right? Has every game that Xbox released got to be a 95 Game of the Year winner? While meanwhile, everybody else can get away with dropping duds here and there. Microsoft can't. In 3 years, Microsoft has dropped critically acclaimed games, including 2021, where they won actually for having the absolute best all-time average Metacritic score per release as a publisher. Best all-time, right?
Crap, nobody else gets away with putting out a dud. Do you remember the reaction to Scarlet and Violet? People were furious. Sure, the game sold well, but people still dunked all over it. Just recently, people were giving Sony a ton of crap for the Horizon Forbidden West DLC. Because instead of giving Aloy, however the hell you say her name, an actual personality or anything, they just made her gay and called it mission accomplished. Every major publisher gets dunked on when they mess up. And I just love how he's like, oh, the media's biased against Xbox. Xbox can never win, when he just mentioned that they won an award for how many great games they put out in 2021. You truly cannot make this up.
They have not missed in 3 years, and yet people want to dump on them all the time. It's the same thing with like delayed games, right? Everybody goes, Microsoft sucks, they can't handle anything, they're delaying games. And I'm like, didn't just about every company delay a game at some point over the last couple years? In fact, all 3 of Sony's major new AAA games last year were delayed from the previous year. And they only have 1 game announced, and that's confirmed now, to come out over the next year from the first party.
Yes, and people have been giving them crap for that. They only have 1 game coming out this year, and then I'm pretty sure we don't know anything going into 2024. I swear to God, this dude has like selective memory or something. People do exactly what he's saying they don't, but he just doesn't acknowledge it. It's like he has little filters in his ears that filter out anything that people say is positive about Xbox and negative about PlayStation, and he only hears the stuff that's negative about Xbox and positive about PlayStation. Then again, that's how fanboys are. They look for any reason to defend their piece of plastic. So when it comes to their piece of plastic, they only want to hear people saying negative things so that they can say positive things.
And I would wager almost anything that internally, a lot of their developers are having to push back because of the pandemic. The same thing that happened to Microsoft, but nobody will admit this stuff, right? It's so crazy to me. Nobody's willing to give anything half a shot. I get it, man. Like, they just want to hate on Xbox. They really hate Xbox for whatever reason. Like, you would think Xbox like slapped their mamas or something. All they've really done is give us the best the best in gaming that we've ever gotten.
Okay, look, Microsoft has put out some great stuff over the last few years. There's no doubt about it. But to say it's some of the best in gaming, I think that's a bit of a stretch. But crap, honestly, with how butthurt you've been in this entire video, you would think that a PlayStation fanboy slapped your mom. I don't know if I've ever seen a PlayStation fanboy this butthurt over people criticizing Sony. Besides maybe that time when that guy defended the price increase on the PS5. Like, good lord, dude, I don't know if I've ever seen a video that fits the definition of pathetic more. This guy got so butthurt over the fact that Redfall isn't being received well that he made a 10-minute rant video where he was telling people to stop being mean to the poor trillion-dollar company. My guy, do you even watch these videos back before you release them? Actually, I hope the answer is no, because if the answer is yes, then that makes this even sadder.
And I don't understand why people have anything to be upset about. On the other hand, you have Sony literally raise prices on the console, raise prices on games. They released VR for $600, no backwards compatibility, and they didn't even mention VR to their investors, meaning there's probably very little hope that that thing survives. You know, I would imagine whatever crop of games that are heavily in development will get pushed out, but I don't see their first party going heavily into VR with games anymore, right? Like, they haven't done a showcase in 2 years. The PS5's only been on the market 2.5 years. And for the last 2 years, they haven't done a first-party showcase. They haven't announced anything.
Yes, and people have dunked on them for all of that stuff that you just mentioned. What echo chamber are you living in where you think people only talk positively about PlayStation and only negatively about Xbox? When a company messes up, they get called out and people dunk on them. Sony has gotten crap for everything you just mentioned. But even though they've done all these bad things, that doesn't excuse Microsoft from doing some bad things. That's like saying, oh, that guy punched somebody in the face, so now I get to do it as well. Like, no, dude, one person doing something bad doesn't mean we can't call out other people for doing other bad things. It doesn't matter how many great games Microsoft releases. If they release a bad one, people will call them out for it. Just like no matter how many great games Sony releases, people will always call them out when they raise prices or take the lazy ways out of developing characters. Oh, but I'm sorry, nobody gave them any criticism for that.
Right? Like, I mean, what does this company got to do to get a little bit of deserved ire from the fans, right? It's crazy to look at this and see how everybody's hating on Xbox and nobody's hating on PlayStation. Like, PlayStation is just exempt from any kind of criticism, exempt from any kind of anything. You know what I mean? If they get a bad score, it was biased. Well, take a look around, and the bias is clear, and the bias is in favor of PlayStation for whatever reason. And I gotta tell you, I'm kind of sick of it. I know some of you are too. Let me know how you feel. I'm CrapGamer. This is CrapGamer Reviews. Are you frustrated with this stuff too? Because I am absolutely frustrated with it. And, you know, I can't wait till something changes. Something has to change sooner rather than later.
Dude, are you really saying that nobody is hating on PlayStation and they're exempt from criticism? I'm actually done. Thank God that was the end of the video. I don't know how much more of that I could have handled. But yeah, guys, you heard it from Crap himself. Apparently, the bias is just all in favor of PlayStation. PlayStation never gets criticized for anything, and everybody just hates Xbox for no reason. But most importantly, CrapGamer is sick of it. How could people attack the poor, defenseless trillion-dollar company? God, how did he upload this video? I don't understand. I guess the ad revenue is really calling him, which I can't really blame him. He's probably got to save back up the $70 he blew on Redfall. Dude, I swear to God, a better use for your $70 than buying Redfall would be wiping your butt with it. God, what a letdown. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will catch you all next time.